Have you ever had to do work while you're on holidays as part of your responsibility as an SME leader? Well, join us for this extract from a recent live stream where we discuss how this might be turned into an out-of-the-box recruitment and retention strategy for your business in 2023. Clint, I know one of the ideas you wanted to talk about today was around additional annual leave or flexi holidays, this notion of that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're thinking?
Yeah, so look, I think that to start this off, I think what I'd like to say to most SMEs is I still see quite a lot of them trying to do things the way things used to be. And the recruiting in the market, and there's in a lot of cases, not really any new ideas. It's the kind of the same offering, trying to do things the same as they used to. And in this very, very competitive market, that just may not be enough to have a successful campaign with recruitment, depending upon, of course, some of the monetary benefits that are being offered. But what we started looking at is this concept of additional annual leave or kind of flexi holidays. And I guess over the past 2 years, the line between sort of work time and personal time has very much been blurred. People have been working from home, and as they've worked from home, you know, they may work their 8-hour day sort of stretched out over 10 or 11 hours or something like that. And I mean, I guess I probably reflect on my own sort of way I generally work. I kind of generally kick off around 8 o'clock every day, and you know, I can be working as late as sort of 7:30 sometimes, but that doesn't stop me from, you know, taking a reasonable lunch, going out and you know, doing a 10 or 15k run, or going out and doing a range of other things. And I wanted to sort of start applying that principle to holidays. And I think people are starting to do this a little bit on leave. So what they're actually doing is they're going on leave, but they've still kind of got that, you know, couple of hours a day where they want to keep up with their emails, they want to keep up with you know, what's happening in the workplace, what's happening with their role, so they don't come back to an avalanche of work. And look, everyone's different. Some people completely want to switch off and go on leave and not respond to the phone at all, and that's completely fine. But others don't do that. Others are consciously just wanting to make sure that things are manageable when they get back, wanting to take care of things. It may depend also on the seniority of their position. So one of the things we kind of came up with is this concept of flexi annual leave, and it's sort of a concept whereby, you know, when you're on annual leave, let's say for a week, you might still be doing during that week 20 or 25% of your time still might be work time. So what's actually happening there, and we've got a couple of clients who actually do this. The idea of this actually came from a client who was talking about an employee who was a salesperson who was on leave, and he said, well, you know, do you want to have this at 70% leave or you know, 80% leave? There was a discussion about what leave deduction would be made for that particular period, acknowledging that the employee was actually doing some work over that period. So I guess, yeah, this is certainly a concept that employers can implement. It gives the employee the ability to get more mileage out of their annual leave. You can have, you know, potentially 5 weeks a year at 80% rather than 4 weeks a year, where you're completely not doing any work. It could even be more than that. But the other way you can do it is obviously have a time off in lieu credited back to the annual leave balance, depending upon how much leave, or depending upon how much time of work you did during that annual leave period. So those are some of the concepts that we actually have heard a couple of clients talking about. And we do think it is something that could be a selling point in recruitment and retention, that people can have the comfort of being able to, you know, do a little bit of work when they've got some time off. If they want to do that, of course, and horses for courses, some don't want to do that, but some consciously will, and some will do it simply to keep things manageable when they return. You know, there's often time in the day where people have got free time to look at their work emails, respond to an email, respond to a call, something like that. Or it could simply be a case where the employer and employee mutually agree in advance that, look, we really need you to be on call during this period. So, hey, let's just give you an 80% deduction or a 75% deduction for annual leave. And, you know, the rest of the time you can do a little bit of work to, you know, guide us through this period and, you know, keep on top of things. So that's probably the first concept I have been really thinking about recently. And I'd encourage businesses to, if they are open to those sort of things, maybe those are things that should be going into upcoming recruitment campaigns, looking at promoting this idea of flexi holidays and getting more mileage out of their annual leave. So that's the kind of first key idea I had, certainly in our recent team meetings amongst the group, and that was one I put forward. Another one I'll put forward, and I might throw to you.
Just before you go on, mate, I had a couple of thoughts or new thoughts that we didn't speak about in the team meeting. I think with this flexi holiday concept, what was going through my mind was, what type of employee is this going to be right for? Because the reality is it's not necessarily going to be right for every type of employee within the organisation. And the couple that came to mind, it basically is obviously the more senior managers that have or more senior employees that have higher level responsibilities. The other one that you mentioned that I thought was pretty good was a salesperson. And what that really sparked on in terms of the type of person or type of employee that I think this flexi leave will be really important for. What I think is unique about a salesperson is, salespeople or people tend to buy from people rather than from organizations. So the critical nature of that salesperson for that client you were mentioning was that he has a one-to-one relationship with the organization. So therefore, his job can't be done by anyone else because they cannot leverage on that relationship. So any employee that has one-to-one relationships with people or vendors or whatever it may be, I think this will be perfect for them because it makes it much easier transition rather than someone to come in cold and try and leverage off that relationship, which is a really challenging thing to do, especially if it's being built up over months or years. The other point that I wanted to add or what came to mind is, yes, from a recruitment perspective, if you were to implement this for your business, yes, you could say, well, it's similar to time off in lieu, as you mentioned, but I really think that flexi leave sells a lot better than, hey, if you do some work when you're on holidays, we'll give you an extra hour off. I think, like, in terms of marketing or promoting or recruiting, I think the flexi leave sells a lot better. So those are a couple of thoughts that came to mind.
If you're watching this video, I'm going to have a guess that it's because your business is facing some kind of HR or workplace relations challenge. Well, I've got some good news. You're exactly the type of business that we created our free online support membership for. And it provides you with a high-level HR and workplace relations advice when you need it, as well as a whole heap of other benefits.
To learn more about what's included with free online support and to apply for membership, please visit ondemandhr.com.au/online.